another one, boy. We talk about breakout candidates today, my man. It should be fun. I hope y'all are able to join me in this live chat because I'm here for it. I'm juiced. I got my list together, right? I got all my notes right here. I mean, I ain't got hella notes. It ain't that complicated. You feel me? um, but I do kind of have some thoughts on it. You feel me? And I'm excited to talk about it. I hope you are too. So if you join me, bring your best ideas, your thoughts, your presumptions, projections, all of it, because we about to get it in. But before I start, I invite you to smash the like button, hit subscribe, and the bell for notifications. Share it with your friends, partners in a group chat. Y'all talk about it too, because I think it's going to be a good topic. And I know smashing the like button seems like a whatever. It's a little thing, but it's a big thing. It really helps out with the channel, helps out with the direction that we're going in, and it lets YouTube algorithm know you want to be notified, right? Oh, you got to hit the bell for that actually, but that you want to be notified that you enjoy doing live interactive chats with me. So do the do, and let's get it in. Who are the Pistons breakout candidates for the 2025-26 season? That's a big question. That's a big question. And the reason why it's a big question is because we got like five dudes at least that could be breaking out. We got literally five dudes that could be breaking out. When I say breaking out, I mean taking a considerable jump from what we saw last season to what we will see this coming year. All of our guys are healthy going into this offseason, right? Ivy was already back on the court doing drills. He wasn't clear for contact. I just didn't charge my other phone. Can you hear me all right? Thumbs up. Let me know you can hear me all right. Yeah, knock on wood for the hell. Yeah, facts, facts. Keep it consistent. Keep it consistent. Got to keep that energy. But it's to say, we've got so many guys going into this offseason healthy. That is a making sure my ears weren't broken. Oh, why is it too loud? Is it too loud? I think it might be charged. I could probably switch up real quick if you want. If it sounds better under the other one, let's see how long it'll last. We'll plug it in real quick. Can you hear me all right? Which is a difference in the voice. All right, carry on. Appreciate you, Joe. So let me just start with this. When young guys early in their career go into the offseason healthy, you should have full expectation that they're going to take another step forward. And when I say a step forward, that means getting physically stronger, developing different aspects of their game, uh, being able to spend time with the coaches, putting together an offseason plan to get prepared for the next season's training camp and the expectations for them as a player within the construct of the team. All that's to say is that by the time you get to the summertime runs, the Rico Hines, the Drew Leagues, wherever they're going to be hooping, you should be seeing something different, as we saw with Ron Holland and even Dennis Jenkins and even Bobby Clintman, right? Clintman looked bigger, right? He looked a little bit more physical, did a great job rebounding at 6'10", right? So, like, showed you things. Tolu Smith, right? Each of these guys came in, looked considerably better than they had in the past. And that's what we expect. Ron Holland actually he looked like a big jump from what we saw last season to what we saw in the Summer League. Or if you compare last Summer League to this Summer League, he just looked like he took a big step. That is the expectation. But what happens when you got 5, 6 guys that could be taking a big step, right? You have a developmental staff. You got a shooting coach, one of the best shooting coaches out there in the NBA. You've got a stable organization for the first time, right? A coach that you believe in, a system, a culture, a team identity, right? You've got a lot of things boding well for the development of a young player. So which one is going to have the biggest jump? I'm going to go through my list. Let me know if there's a list. Tell us what happened, honey. About what? About what, Joe? About what, Joe? I'm here for all of it. But as I say, I'm going to go through my list. And after I go through my list, I'm going to start with who I think is going to have the lowest jump all the way to the person I think is going to have the biggest jump. So you're going to have to stay tuned to kind of get it, but you'll probably figure it out by the time I get through most of them. I'm just here for the call and response part of the service since it's Sunday. And hey, you know what? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? I'll take a well and an amen if you appreciate what I'm spitting out today. So let's go through my list. I got number one, Cade Cunningham on my list. Then Jaden Ivey, Ausar Thompson, Jaylen Duren, Ron Holland, and Marcus Sasser. Notable names that you don't see on this list: Bobby Clement, Isaiah Stewart, Tolu Smith, and of course the veterans. We don't have a Chaz Lanier on this list. I only have the guys, these five, actually six, sorry, these six that I truly believe are going to have, and hear me on this, a significant enough role to be able to produce more than what they did last season. So that negates people like Bobby Clement, who look like up and down in summer league, not necessarily sure what he's going to do. Ron Holland's probably sliding into those minutes at the forward position, right? That'll get dispersed between Isaiah Stewart and Ron Holland, right? But then someone like Marcus Sasser, I think he has an opportunity to carve out a significant role next season. So that's why he's on this list, right? Now, of course, the veterans that are already 25, 26, 27, 28 are already kind of more solidified in who they are as a player. They can fine tune some things, but really they're just trying to stay sharp. They're trying to be in shape. They're trying to be ready to go, learn the system, learn the team. But they kind of already have who they are. There's a benchmark. The ceiling is like this. You know what Malik Beasley was able to do last season in terms of having a huge jump in production. I don't think we see that from a Duncan Robinson or Isaiah Stewart or Karis LeVert or Tobias Harris. I don't think they will have a big jump in their role to be able to produce more than what we've seen in the past. So I'm not going to be talking about them. All right. Just kind of giving y'all a framework, rubric, to understand how I'm evaluating these guys somewhat. All right. Let me start with the guy that I think is going to have a jump, just not the biggest jump. Just not the biggest jump. I got to start with Ron Holland. Now, I know a lot of y'all were excited about Ron Holland from Summer League, right? Rightfully so. He took his next steps forward. He looked great. He looked strong. He looked dominant. Um, Joe, man, you're killing me. Ron Holland, he looked great in Summer League. But here's the thing. There's a big difference between looking great in Summer League and being able to contribute to a winning team with expectation, playoff expectation on the main stage. Let me start there. That's to say that even though he took a step forward, he didn't necessarily take a big enough step. One, I'll put it this way. If he was someone who was going to be a part of a starting rotation anytime soon, he probably wouldn't have been in Summer League. That's just to kind of give you a thought. Secondly, he still has to kind of compete for minutes between Isaiah Stewart, Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson. We know that JB Bickerstaff loves his veterans and Tobias Harris. And when I say compete for minutes, I'm saying the role that he's going to have on this team is going to be somewhere in there from the wing to the forward position. Probably, I don't see him playing the 2 very much. He'll play that 3-4 position a lot. And yet Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, Tobias Harris are all still there to play the 3-4 position. And you also still got Isaiah Stewart, who can play the 4 alongside Duren. Who knows if we see that experimented with more, especially considering the Cleveland Cavaliers, Milwaukee Bucks, Orlando Magic, New York Knicks, teams that play big, right? If Philadelphia ever gets healthy, we're going to need to be able to go big against some of those teams, or at least experiment with those rosters and those lineups. And so as a result, Ron Holland is still going to be squeezing into those minutes, which is what I said. I think the big difference that we see from Ron Holland in terms of his outlook and his role is that he's just going to see more consistent minutes. No more DNPs. he's going to get at least 10 to 15, maybe 18 minutes a game towards the end of the year, right? But he's still kind of splitting. He's still kind of splitting those minutes. And so I think in that minimal role, we're not going to see as big of a jump, even though we're going to see progress. We're going to see improvement. We're just not going to see the same type of a jump as these other guys. All right. Let me get to some of these comments before I go on to the next one. Let me see. I think continuing to improve his on ball ability in this next year will be the ticket to a big role in year 3. Because honestly, even without the shot, his off ball ability is really strong. It is. And it's crazy that he only had 3 DNPs the entire year. Uh, one, when he was suspended, and two, in the final 2 games of the playoffs. True. And at the same time, he also had games where he played maybe 6, 8 minutes in the first half and didn't play the whole second half, right? Sitting out whole quarters. I don't think that happens this year. I think we see a steady dose of Ron Holland for a full game. He may even have opportunities if he's rolling to close out games, which would be a tremendous step forward as well. And if injuries happen, knock on wood, right? They happen. He'll have an opportunity to potentially compete for a starting spot because JB Bickerstaff may want to keep his veteran bench players entrenched in that role to let them get comfortable in it and say like, hey, Karras, Duncan, Stu, you guys are going to be bench players all year. Get used to it. And we're going to need you in that role big time, especially in the playoffs. And so he may, like if Tobias Harris were to go down, he may say, you know what, Ron, let's give you an opportunity. You know, we just might come in with the veterans earlier than we normally would if Tobias was there. The next person that I have is Marcus Sasser. I'm a big Marcus Sasser stan. I've been telling y'all that. Been on it. Been on the train. Been on this hype. I'm telling y'all he has the potential to look great for us. Great for us. Now, I'm not talking Allen Iverson. I'm not talking Stephen Curry. I am talking about maybe the microwave. I'm talking about, Vinnie Johnson. I'm talking about that high level bench role player who comes in and absolutely can steal the show. I think Marcus Sasser has steal the show type of ability. I think he has the ability to come into a game and change the landscape of it immediately with his shot creation ability, shooting ability, and ability to get into the teeth of the defense and break down uh, either a zone, whatever the defense is trying to do. I think he could be like JJ Barea, one of those guys who just comes in and he's just absolutely just, man, disrupts everything with his scoring ability. And all of a sudden now you're having to guard him, load up on him like you would a starter. I think he's got that Peyton Pritchard, TJ McConnell type of motor. I think he's a volume scorer, which is something that I oftentimes differentiate the difference between someone who can score and someone who is a volume scorer. Can score is generally guys who score within the flow of things. They're not necessarily comfortable taking 15 to 20 shots a game or even in a game, you know. However, Marcus Sasser, that boy is built to score. He's built to get buckets. He's built to light it up. That's just who he is. And so I could see him coming in the game, even if he's on like 15 to 20 minutes in a game. Not even that, maybe. What we talking about, bros? Yeah, we talking about the breakout candidates. We just did Ron Holland. We on Marcus Sasser. I could see Marcus Sasser, even in limited minutes, coming in and absolutely lighting it up. I'm talking about 8 points in a quarter, 10 points and a half. All of a sudden, fourth quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden he gets 3 threes in a row. You know, like he's an explosive scorer. I think that's probably the best way to characterize him. I think he has that more than has that in him. And I think that this year, now that they're not asking him to be Dennis Schroeder, now that they're not asking him to be this facilitating guard, You can let Karis LeVert handle that, or Jaden Ivey, or Ausar Thompson, or Cade Cunningham, and he could come in and just be him, which is a dog on defense at the point of attack and someone who can absolutely fill it up. Go back and watch his highlights last year. I dare you to find a shot that didn't look like it was going in the moment it released his fingertips. Immediately, it looked like it was going in. Immediately, because he's just that type of scorer. Excuse me. He's built for it. He's built for it. The next person I want to go over is probably going to be, and this is a tough one because we got Cade, Ivy, Asar, and Duren. The next person I think that's going to have a considerable breakout, but maybe not as much as the rest. I think it's going to be Jaylen Duren. I think it's going to be Jaylen Duren. Yeah, I think so. I'm going backwards on my list. Started with Ron Holland, then Marcus Sasser. I'm going with Jaylen Duren. Here's why. I think he's going to improve. At least he's going to have a jump. He's going to be consistent. I think what we saw from last year in the second half of the season and the playoffs, I think that's what we see all year long. 16 and 12, 14 and 10, 18 and 11, maybe a block or two, an assist or two, really strong numbers, looking like Jarrett Allen type of numbers. Maybe not in the 20s as much, but he's going to get double digits. You're not going to be seeing games where it only takes 3 to 4 shots and he ends a game 2 or 4, 3 or 4, stuff like that. I think he's going to be strong and consistent. And that's going to be his biggest jump. He's going to be Ivica Zubac type of level. Not as many touches offensively, that is, but he's going to get 6 to 8 shots a game. But he's going to do his biggest damage through the consistency of playing time. Now, here's the thing. The reason why he's not going to take the biggest jump is because he's still splitting minutes with Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart, who still is one of the best rim protecting big men in the league, one of the best reserve centers in the league, has an emerging, growing 3-point shooting ability that JB and the staff finally let him start taking again late in the second half of the year. And you began to also see an emerging offensive skill set where he's attacking his mismatch or his matchup more aggressively, whether it's racing down the court, trying to pin a smaller guard behind them and posting them up and getting the pass ahead, whether it's attacking guys like Evan Mobley off the bounce and getting to the rim, whether it's playing a little pick and pop game, whatever it is. Isaiah Stewart has a growing offensive game, and considering his impact, who he is for us culturally, I think Jaylen Duren's minutes stays kind of where they've been at, splitting with Isaiah Stewart, getting 24 to 28 minutes a game. I don't see the 30-plus minutes a game to really have that great of a jump, but I do think he improves. And the improvement, like I said, is going to be through the consistency. That's going to be a beautiful thing to see because let's remember the horror show that the beginning of the season last year was when it comes to Jaylen Duren. That was a horror show. It was terrible. We were like, dude, does this dude even want to be here, man? He's not playing defense. He looks hungover from the previous year. Like, he don't know what this is. Come on, man. We need more out of you. We need more. And then he admitted and said, hey, you know what? I need to do better. I need to do better. He held himself accountable and turned in one hell of a second half of the year. Well, I think he starts from the beginning that way. We lean less heavily on Isaiah Stewart, but he still only gets about 24 to 26, 28 minutes a game at the most because Isaiah Stewart is so good. So that's where I've got at the bottom 3 out of the 6. I've got Ron Holland. He'll improve, but his role will be small. And so we're not going to see the big jump that we might expect from a breakout candidate. Marcus Sasser is next. He's going to look good. Explosive scorer off the bench. Dog on defense at the point of attack. Excellent shooter, floor spacer. Think he could be big time for us, right? He's going to get hot quickly like a Lou Williams. But he's still in a minimal role. And that's because this next guy is going to have a hell of a year. But before I get into him, if you haven't smashed the like button already, please smash the like button. It's a little thing, but a big thing. Helps the channel out tremendously. And I appreciate all of y'all for joining me today on a Sunday morning. God bless your hearts. And hit subscribe and the bell for notifications so you get notified as soon as I launch. So you can be here from the beginning in case you missed the Ron Holland conversation, the Marcus Sasser conversation, and then just now the Jaylen Duren conversation. All right. With that said, let me check these comments real quick because I do encourage you to comment. I appreciate them. Let me see. Ron could be shooting 38% from 3 on 5 attempts a game right now, and he'd still probably be in the year 2 Trey Murphy kind of role because the on-ball ability is the ticket. I can see that. I can see that. But here's the thing. He's also still learning the game. He's figuring it out. That's where he's at. He's figuring it out still. As I said, if you're still in summer league, you're not necessarily looked to be a leader for a playoff team. And leaders are generally guys that the coach can depend upon who understand what to do, when to do it, and have somewhat of an organizational expectation. I think Ron has a growing organizational expectation and excitement about him, but they're not necessarily putting a lot of that responsibility on him for getting us into the playoffs. I don't think he's ready for that yet. So I actually like how they're developing him, not putting a lot on him, letting him come along slowly. I think it's going to bode extremely well for his long-term success on this team. So he's going to have a smaller role. That's a great point, though. Let me see. Yes, Broderick Hunter. Sasser, let's go, boy. You know I'm talking about him. Sandro was good, man. Joe B, I reckon it's going to be Ivy 4th. And you right, bro. You right. You right. Look, Jaden Ivey is going to have a hell of a year. He's going to have a hell of a year. Because I think what we saw in the first half of last season, especially towards like December, was no fluke. Was no fluke. What he was able to do with the ball in his hands, getting out in transition, what he was able to do in terms of shooting consistently, um, I think he's going to be absolutely turning it up. And what that's going to look like, I'm going to give you a general stat line. 22 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Really good efficiency. But more than anything, the highlights and his taking over for stretches of the game, looking like at times our best player. That's what we're going to see. We don't need him to do everything. We've got too many other guys who can contribute in so many other ways. So his jump is not necessarily going to be this great statistical leap where now it's 5 rebounds, 6 assists, all these. He's just going to be highly efficient. He's going to have a scoring jump from, I think, what was that, 17, 18 points per game. But then it's going to be consistent, reliable. It's going to be a real threat. We're going to see the threat with Cade. We're going to see teams having to choose between the two of them, right? Getting it wrong and focusing on Cade. And then Ivy hits him for 2 threes, gets to the free throw line for a couple free throws, drops off a dime to Duren, has a dunk in transition. And all of a sudden, we're like, whoa, look at this dude over here. And it completely shifts the defense. Completely shifts that attention. All of a sudden now Cade Cunningham is getting wide open threes on the weak side wing because now they're worried about Ivy. That's what we're going to see from Ivy. The more you limit a role player's role, the better they get at that specific role. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. But I'll say this from Jaden Ivey. He's itching to get back out there. He's itching to get back out there and prove he's everything that he was beginning to emerge and show he can be. He's a prideful athlete in a good way, right? Not the prideful, uncoachable, but the prideful, like, I have something to prove to myself. I believe in my game, as he should. Mega Hustler was good. I would like to see Dennis Jenkins and Sasser backcourt off the bench. I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon unless injury happens, if I'm honest. Not much. It was good, Project. There's not much we don't agree on. Facts. We're talking about the squad. Always have since I've been following you. Yes, sir. Educate me on players around the league. Excellent knowledge. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. Truly do. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday morning. Right? Let me just say this about Ivy. I'm a big fan of his game. There's some aspects I didn't like, the turnovers, the mishandling, but I'm recognizing that it's par for the course. That's how you get better. He's not the first guard to go through turnover issues, but I think the corner that he's turning, the corner that he's turning is maturing in his game, who he is, having some organizational stability, coaching stability. He's going into next season for the first time in his career with the same coach that he had the previous year. I think he cements himself as that number two, as I have said many times. He's not Robin. He's Iron Man next to Captain America. Right? That's who he is. He's Thor. Now, he's probably closer to Thor. I probably give him a Thor. Right? I probably say Iron Man is more Ausar Thompson. Right? But he's not just some number two. He's someone who can lead. He's someone that you can rely upon to take you to that next level. And so when I see Jaden Ivey, I don't think he'll have as huge of a jump statistically, right? Maybe only improve by 3 to 4 points per game from last year. But what we see is the consistency. What we see is the explosive scoring. What we see is a more uh, embedded chemistry between him and Cade, that they can score off of each other, working off of each other to be better, to play at a high level. And so that's the jump I see from Ivy. That's why I have him at number 4. But I think it solidifies. Next season, we see solidified. We're not talking about who Cade Cunningham's running mate is. We're not talking about, oh, we need to get him some help offense. We're not talking about that no more after next year. Probably by the time we get to November, we're gonna be like, oh, yep, see, that's what we thought. Yep, there goes Ivy. Yep, that's what he does. He's out there doing his thing. We're good. All right. Let me get some of these comments, and then I'm gonna go to number 2 on my list. You can probably guess it. Ivy needs to take that Jordan approach to scoring 5 to 7 points a quarter, make a couple baskets, get to the foul line in the first quarter. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you. I actually think that's what Cade needs to do. I might be giving away my number 2. Might be giving it away. I think he will just affect winning more and be more of a winning player than before. I agree too. I think to a major extent, last season, the team in general was figuring out how to win. They were all trying to figure out how to win. And without Ausar Thompson, that defensive ace, they didn't necessarily have a good enough defense in the first half of the season to really compete, on top of the fact that they had a front loaded competitive season last year. And a lot of people forget that when they're evaluating Jaden Ivey and his on off numbers or winning numbers and all these different things, defensive efficiency or win shares, all that stuff. Keep in mind, we had a front loaded competitive season, meaning that we had the majority of our 50 plus win season teams, those teams that had that outlook, playoff, NBA championship, conference finals teams at their healthiest early in the season. So we were playing dominant teams early when they were fresh, no injuries, ready to go. And we were still competitive in those games, but we were not able to pull them out, especially without Ausar Thompson. Oh, 1 second. Are you at the door? All right, come on. Okay. All right, mommy. Text me when you get here. Kid life. Love it. All right. Where was I at? Yes. No shit. Lost it. Fuck. It is what it is. All right. Let me get to my number two. Um, let me get to this comment real quick. Joe B. Hopefully Ivy sees all these combo guards getting hosed on their country. Yeah. And traded and realize he needs to take a defensive jump to get contracts and his position in this league going forward. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. I think he started to do that last year, but I think we need to see him bought into that. We need to see him fully bought into being a point of attack uh, defender who's absolutely disruptive. If he does that, I think we have absolutely no problem giving him that extension he wants. Absolutely no problem. But he has to be bought in. He has to show that he can be not just a good point of attack defender, but a great one. A great one. And why not? What else are we here to do but be great? I know Ivy wants to be great. Be great, but do it on both ends, bro. We need that. Because if Ivy becomes a great two-way guard, if he becomes like absolutely shut down, creating havoc. If he does that, yes, with his physical profile, athleticism, there's actually no reason he can't be a good defender. If he can become that for us, if he can become our Andrew Nimhard level defender, if he can become that guy, that Luguins Dort level defender next to SGA, next to Cade, his value goes through the roof. Goes through the roof. And when you partner him next to Ausar Thompson doing that, now it's absolutely terrifying. Look at this comment real quick. J.I. jumping 3 to 4 points would be him breaking out the same way Cade broke out. It's just proving what we knew, 22 point per game player. Yes. Yep. Yeah. I agree. I think that 3 to 4 point jump is going to be tremendous for us. Tremendous, but more than anything, it's going to be consistent. That's a big theme. But my number two, let's get into it, is Cade Cunningham. I think he has the second biggest jump. Remember, last year he already put up big numbers. Let's go pull them up just so we can read it off, just so folks can know, just to refresh it. Just to refresh it. Cade Cunningham last year, 23 years old, put up 26 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. 26, 6, and 9. Damn. Took about 20, almost pretty much 21 field goal attempts a game. It's kind of a lot. But he shot 47% from the field, which is great. Right? Then he shot 35% from 3, which was great on 6 attempts. And then he shot over 50% from 2, which is a great jump. Right? His effective field goal percentage went up. But here's some other numbers for you. Of course, over 80% from the free throw line. The 6 rebounds and the 9 assists were revelations. Now, he still had 4.5 turnovers. That was a bit concerning. But I'll say this. With more help on the team and JB Bickerstaff having an opportunity to shift them away from a heliocentric offense, I think there's going to be the opportunity for Cade to almost take a step back. I think he gets his points. I think he gets his 25 to 30 points a game. I think we see more rebounding, maybe less assists, and also less turnovers. I think his overall plus minus box score shoots up. Hang on one second. This is my little one. Hey, are you here? Yeah. Buzz up. I, I'm on a call. All right, hurry up. Oh, she got her hair done. She got her hair done. She got purple fallout. Anyways, I'm dad life. Anyways, uh, yeah, I think Cade takes a jump in his ability to be effective in moments, almost like the comment that let me see who had the comment about playing like Jordan. Yeah, Maurice Shaw. Yes, yeah, one right there. I think that's what Cade needs to do. I like to say that's what Cade needs to do. If he can get to the point where he is effectively scoring 6 points a quarter, at least 6 points. That's his baseline. Get you six in a quarter. That's how you know that you're being aggressive enough. That's how you know that you're uh, focused and locked in. And then just close out games. Be that closer. But here's the thing: if this offense is really running how it could, how it can potentially, I'm telling you right now, he's not going to need to do as much. He is not going to need to do as much. If I'm honest with you, I think Jaden Ivey is a more explosive scorer than J Dub from Oklahoma City. That speed and explosiveness, he has the ability to put up points in bunches in a way that very few players can, especially if he buys in on defense. And then you add Ausar, Duren, Sasser. Yo, buzz up, mommy. Oh, it's not working. Okay, I'm coming down real quick. Y'all gonna have to hang on. All right, just give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back. I know, I know. All right, let's see if folks are still here. My bad, y'all. Buzzer, it wasn't working. Appreciate you, Broderick. All right. So, Cade, efficiency. He's got more help. Can he use it? That's the real. That's the real question. Can he actually use the help that he has? Will he actually be committed to it? Getting off the ball. I think that's something that we talked about a lot last season. That many times he looked best when he was playing off the ball. Right? Wasn't trying to do the heliocentric thing, forcing the ball, trying to make every play, deferring to guys like Dennis Schroeder, letting him set him up, let Ausar Thompson run that point forward position, even just passing the ball ahead and allowing us to get out in transition. Like these are all things that we've been kind of like waiting and begging for K to do more. And I think this upcoming season, I think he steps into that like big time, like big time. I think he fully steps into uh, utilizing his team. And I don't think that that's a big jump for him, but I do think that one, I think we will see it's going to move him into MVP conversation. Not because he's scoring more and he blows everyone away because he's averaging over 30 points a game. That's not necessarily what it's going to be. It's going to be that this team is a top 3 seed almost the whole year. that they're beating and competing against teams who are absolutely dominant, right? They're beating the Magic, going toe to toe or beating Cleveland and New York, going toe to toe and beating Denver, right? Oklahoma City, right? Like, and he is the man that's stirring that pot. That he plays that SGA role where he's setting guys up, or he's allowing the defense to focus on him, to making it easier on others. He is closing out games in big game moments for us. That's how Cade takes that jump, and he just looks like one of the best players in the league, right? He just looks the part, and I think that that's something that uh, that's what his jump is going to look like. But it's not going to be this statistical one. If anything, hopefully you see the turnovers take a drop. I think we also see the assists drop, maybe down to like 7, 6 or 7, probably 7, because he's just such an effective passer. But also with the ball out of his hands more, he'll have less opportunity. But that leads me to my number one breakout candidate for the Detroit Pistons, and that is none other than Ausar Thompson. Starting off last year, he had blood clots, and we're all grateful that he was able to recover from that, because that is something that has taken players out of the game. Chris Bosh had to retire after blood clots. Alonzo Mourning, maybe it's something about Miami, I don't know, but he had blood clots, and then he had to retire, and then he came back, right? Um, Shucks, nah, think about it. The Thompson twins were in Florida at Overtime Elite. Maybe there's something in the water in Florida. Who knows? I don't know. All this to say is that blood clots have ended the guy's career. So considering that he was able to make it back was already a huge feat, right? Yeah, Wemby's hopefully looking. Yeah, he's coming back healthy too. Yeah, I know, I know. And so it's great to be able to see these young guys still be able to come back and compete. Um, beyond those diagnoses. Yeah, and medical advancements, facts. But it's to say that he wasn't able to work on his game all off season. He wasn't able to uh, get with the team in training camp, get adjusted to JB Bickerstaff's system, expectations. The coach staff was admittedly, JB said, look, we really don't have expectations for him yet. Kind of just put him out there and seeing what he can do. Right. And then with the whole Ivy injury coupled with that, it was like, okay, what do we do? Let's just see. And so he had very little expectation. And then when he came into the year last season, when he finally got on the court, he had such a minutes restriction, allowing himself to get his wind back. I mean, he was breathing heavy. You could see times he's just hands on his hips. And he's like flying up and down the court for just one or two up and downs. And then after 2 minutes of a game, he's back out. And he comes back in 3 minutes and then he's back out. Right. And ends the game with 8 minutes. Right. It might look great for that stretch, but he was on a tight minutes restriction early on through the month of January. And then it wasn't until February, after the All-Star break, going into March, that you see this steady incline of his minutes. And we saw these great flashes. And by the time that we got to the playoffs, he was playing in some of his best form. But let's be clear about this. His stat line last season, and this is where I think we're going to see, this is why I think we're going to see the biggest jump. At only 22 years old, it says here that he averaged 22 minutes per game. I would gather the majority of those minutes were late in the season. But even then, shooting 53% from the field, he averaged, let me pull it up here, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2.3 assists. 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Then when you look at what he did in the playoffs, and this is where I kind of want to cement what I think that we're going to see. Go right here. Let's pull up stats, advanced stats. Let me see. It should have playoffs here. Here we go. Playoffs. In 22 and a half minutes per game, he gave you 11 and a half points, a block, a steal, an assist, 5 rebounds, Shot 58% from the free throw line. Now, here's the thing. It may not sound like that big of a showing in the playoffs, but it's not just what you scored, it was how you scored. It wasn't just what your stat line was, it was how you got it. Ausar Thompson was playing in a front court against Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart and OG Anunoby. Probably one of the best front courts in the NBA. Physical, they were stronger, they were taller, significantly taller. And he was absolutely able to not just hold his own, but at times look dominant, look like an enigma. Like, what the hell do we do with this guy? If he's in the dunker spot, quick catch and he's already off his feet. You can't even recover in time. Transition, he's a blur. Defense, shutting you down at the top of the key. Deflections, steals, loose balls. And of course, a lot of his minutes also got affected by his foul trouble in the first 2 or 3 games of that series, because referees are still realizing just how good of a defender he is, and that Brunson was essentially trying to hunt him desperately to get him off the floor. With that experience, I think he goes into next season. One, he's getting the benefit of the doubt from referees. He looks like all NBA defense, first team, all defense. Period. Period. Move everyone over. Ausar Thompson is going to look like first team, all defense. Secondly, and I've said this many times before, I think he puts it all together next year. And I'm not talking about adding, shooting, knocking down threes and stuff like. I'm just talking about the things we've already seen him do. Whether it's scoring in transition, straight line drives, attacking a defender, right? Even if they don't close out all the way. If they don't close out, they leave too big of a gap. That gives you runway to attack that space with one dribble, and now you can do a quick Euro and step around someone, right? This is the reason why guys like DeMar DeRozan, despite not being great three-point shooters, guys still have to close out all the way because they know how to, in one dribble, completely close that gap. So now it's like they're attacking you at full speed from only 15 feet out because you didn't close out all the way. So you have to close out. But even then, they can get around you. I think we see Ausar Thompson attack more off the bounce. I think he also gets more point forward opportunities, bringing the ball up in transition after getting a defensive rebound, playmaking or facilitating, setting up our offense. I think we also see Ausar Thompson eat more just playing with Cade and Ivey, because those guys are going to draw so much attention offensively, getting downhill to the basket, that he's going to be able to get a lot of dump offs from the dunker spot and from cutting off the ball from the weak side wing. Not to mention open threes in the corner. I think he gets a lot more high quality looks that are going to be consistent. And we're going to see him begin to increase that scoring average. I think he's going to end up somewhere around 14 to 16 points per game consistently. What we see is probably a lot of what we saw from Amen Thompson last year. But it's not just on the offensive side, it's also on the defensive side. What he's going to be able to do with the full season, full training camp, knowing the expectations in the system, having chemistry built with his teammates, I think we see his defense go to a whole other level. And not just because he's going to be stronger, he's going to get the benefit of the whistle with the referees, but also because his teammates are going to know more how to support him and to utilize him as this free-floating enigma defensive player that can block the shot, that can deflect the pass, that can steal or dig down when the guy's attacking the basket and he's the help defender. He can get that steal, helping off the ball. He can hedge and quickly recover. He can switch constantly throughout that almost 1 through 5. His teammates will know how to use him. so that they can maximize his gifts out there. And so what we begin to see is his impact on the game. I think next season he will have the biggest plus minus on the team. He will have the biggest differential from when he is on the court and when he's not. Because the plays that he can make will absolutely be absurd. Expect to see more highlight blocks, steals, ripping the ball handler, getting out in transition. They should be doing things like jumping ball handlers. If you're Ivy and you see a SAR next to you, I'm easily opening up and funneling them towards a SAR. And then if they hesitate for a moment, him and the SAR should just jump the ball handler. Do a Andrew Nemhard and Aaron Neesmith type of deal. And just get on them. They're going to create more turnovers. They're going to get out in transition more. And I think he becomes an absolute headache problem in the league. Ausar Thompson is my number one candidate for a breakout year for the Detroit Pistons. If I had to throw out a stat line, I'd probably say it's going to be somewhere in the realm of 14, 6, and 4. Really good efficiency. Somewhere around close to, I would say, 4 stocks per game. That's steals and blocks combined. That's what we see from Ausar Thompson. Now, it may not sound amazing, but amongst that 14 points per game, you're going to have games of 20. You're going to have games of 13 and 12 also. But what you're going to see is someone who is contributing far more consistently than we've ever seen. All those highlight plays, you go back and you watch his highlights from last season, the different things he was able to do. All of a sudden, all those highlights become streamlined. You talked about last time creating a shot profile that he understands where to expect his shots and what shots to look for and how to master those shots, whether it's finishing around the rim when he gets a smaller player on him. Frank Nitty, yeah, 14.7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1.5 blocks, first team all defense. I love it. Frank Nitty, you and me, yo, we in the same place, bro. I think all those highlight plays of what we saw him do, attacking the rim, finishing over guys, spins, Euro steps, all these different things, posting up guys like Jalen Brunson. I think we see all that every single game. And we begin to look at him like, man, I wonder if he could do more. I wonder if he could do more. And there's going to be some games we're going to see him do more. We're probably, if I had to throw it out there, I'd probably say we're going to see at least anywhere between 5 to 10 20-point games. They're going to see 5 to 10 over 20-point games. He's going to have some lower games too. He has to be the point. I don't think he's going to be the point, but he's going to play point forward, Bryant. That's for sure. He's going to play point forward plenty of times, especially when he gets rebounds. When he gets that rebound, Ivy, Cade, Duren, they should already be taken off. Holland, Karis LeVert, just take off. Asar's got it. Asar's got it. And I think that's what we see this year. But yeah, that's my list. My number one breakout candidate, Ausar Thompson. Number 2, Cade Cunningham. Number 3, Jaden Ivey. Number 4, Jaylen Duren. Number 5, Marcus Sasser. And number 6, Holland. We'll see. Training camp should be coming up soon enough. And I said I'm going to do another evaluation on this team going into not necessarily into the training camp. I'll probably do some stuff between now and training camp. But after training camp is when I'm going to do my prognosis of what I think the next season is going to look like in terms of wins. Are they an over 50 win team? We're going to talk about it. I did this last year. I think what I'm going to do is what this team should look like this season. I've alluded to it a lot throughout my previous videos, but I want to do a whole video on what I think this team should look like. And when I'm talking about what it should look like, I'm talking about its overall scheme. on offense and defense. It's overall style of play, what we can expect to see. Because sometimes if it looks different than what we've been expecting, we think that something's wrong. Or we see them working out the kinks to do something different and we don't realize what they're trying to do. And then we go like, this offense looks terrible. The defense looks terrible. It's like actually they're trying to work some things out. But you have a general idea of what you're seeing out there on the court. And I think I want to do a video on that probably next. So maybe like tomorrow morning, I'll do that video. But it's to say, those are my breakout candidates. I'm excited about them, really excited about them. Because when you put it all together, right? When you put it all together, what this starting lineup can do. And recognize also some of the lower stat lines. Cade's probably going to average 25, 6, and 7, right? A little bit less than what he did last year. Ivey's going to average about 20 to 22 points per game. 4 rebounds, 3 assists type of deal. Ausar, Duren. I mean, Duren's probably going to be somewhere around like 15 points, 10, 11 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, stuff like that, right? Those stats don't blow you out the water, but cumulatively, with Tobias Harris, Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson, Marcus Sasser, Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, all of a sudden we're going to be like, whoa, this team is just good. And they're beating teams because as a team, they're just better. As a team. Not just one guy that they're depending upon, but collectively playing together. And like I keep saying, that is the challenge for JB Bickerstaff. How do you adjust this offense? How do you adjust your style of play? That you're no longer centering everything around Cade. You don't need to, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't, especially for his long-term success. Frank Nitty, if Ivy averaged 20 plus, that would be great. I'm expecting more like 18. Well, I mean, keep in mind last season he was already at, pull it up real quick. He was already at 18, 17.6. He was already averaging 17.6 points per game. And that's with the rough start to the season, with the lack of chemistry with Cade, with the new offensive system under JB Bickerstaff, with being in a new role, right? Now no longer, the old coach regime and stuff, coming off the bench and all that. He's now officially in his role. He understands what's expected of him. He's working out with the team all off season. To expect only a 0.4% jump, nah. It's gonna be at least 3 to 4 points per game. Let me see. Your number one is not Stewart. You don't know. Oh man. Isaiah Stewart, he's gonna be huge for us. He is going to be huge for us. Make no mistake about that. And I think he deserves his own video too. I'm gonna write that idea down. Isaiah Stewart needs, because I think he's kind of been lost in a lot of this. He's been lost in a lot of this. Let me see what the Pistons look like next year. Look like next season. That's how I remember the ideas that y'all be giving me. Scheme, style of play. And we're going to do Isaiah Stewart love. Because he's still our culture setter. He's still our culture setter. He's still the guy who stirs the pot. Like, as much as Cade is amazing, without Isaiah Stewart, we don't have this culture. Defense, hard hat. Look, I love Cade. He's a great guy. Great guy. But he's a little, I wouldn't call him I think he's got some great leadership aspects of him. But I don't think he has that personality. He's not a big personality where guys just kind of gravitate towards him and whatever he kind of says. He doesn't have that Shaq personality, doesn't have the Dwight Howard personality, who deserves more respect on his career. He doesn't have the Kobe Bryant personality. He has a strong personality, but just not that. Isaiah Stewart, Isaiah Stewart is just that dude that when he walks in, you're just happy he's on your team. That you don't have to get screened by him. You don't have to see him at the rim. You don't have to see him trying to box you out for a rebound. He's one of those dudes back in the day. Man, if you ever played pickup and there was a big burly dude who wasn't wearing his shirt, it's just nothing but beef and sweat. And you're just like, please don't box me out, bro. I don't even want that rebound like that. It ain't even that deep, bro. Just leave, just hey man, and still box you out. You'd be like, come on, bro. Damn, now I got your sweat all on me, bro. You know, yo, that's Isaiah Stewart. That's Isaiah Stewart. Nobody really wants a piece of him. They don't. They're just like, hey, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. There's a few guys who might want that smoke. But in general, hell no. He's gonna be a big part of this team. And he deserves some love. So I'm gonna do a video on him. I got my ideas down. I appreciate all y'all joining me on a Sunday morning. Y'all, also, man, y'all are some real ones. I had to go down, let my daughter in because the little thing wasn't working, and y'all were patient, stayed with me, through that little 1 minute and a half intermission, whatever. But yo, I appreciate y'all. Y'all are hella dope. Smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Smashing the like button really is a little thing, but it's a big thing. It really helps out with the channel. So I hope you all appreciated this live. I look forward to seeing you more in the future. Try to be consistent because somebody asked me to be consistent. So I'm gonna try to do that too as well. But yeah, I'm loving this more and more. This community is dope, hella dope. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all more. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Hopefully it's sun shining where you at. Sun's finally came out here in the Bay. I'm gonna enjoy it with my kid today. Y'all have a good one. Be blessed. Stay safe. And I'm gonna get at y'all next time.